Guys, Hamza here from Unity Performance. You guys know we've had our shop FK8 for over 3 years now, but we've never done a comprehensive build breakdown. So let me take you through the car from the front all the way to the back. First thing you'll notice, it has a carbon fiber Veris style hood. We're going to show you under the hood later on. For now, we're going to do the exterior. Obviously, it has the 271 intercooler that you can see, and the Morimoto V2 headlights. Those are the latest additions to the car. They look absolutely awesome. Love how they turn out at night. And of course, no Unity build for the 10 would be complete without our side marker lights. These are the smoke on one side and the clears on one side. Fun fact, I've never had two of the same side markers on any of my cars. It's always been a way for me to be quirky and showcase what we do. Right around, you'll see the wheels. These are the Super Speed RF05RR, custom finished in a hyper silver. The wheels don't come in silver from Super Speed, but I really wanted silver and I love this wheel design, so I had them redone. The brakes, although they're stock Brembo calipers, they have the Paragon R5 front track and street pads. I definitely need those brakes the way I drive. The Paragon titanium shims, Motul RBF 600 fluid. Right around, you can't ignore the green wrap on the car. This particular color is called green black iridescent. Depending on which side lighting you're looking at, it shades into a dark black. That's why it's green black. And it's made by a company called KPMF. The guys who applied it at Curate Protect Enhance did an amazing job. This wrap has been on the car for over 3 years, and let's just say I don't take the best care of it, but it still manages to look this good after all this time. Moving right along to the back, I do have the 350mm rear big brake upgrade from Paragon as well. On top of performance, I just feel like it looks very uniform to have the same size front and rear discs. It's one of those things that really, you have to know what you're looking at, and then you appreciate it once you know it's there. Right along to the back, of course, we have the Unity CTR plate. This is so uniquely identifiable as a Unity Performance shop car. We have a carbon fiber, real carbon fiber license plate frame. We do have those on the website available if you're looking for something cool to add. In addition, it's a little bit more carbon fiber here. This is the APR gurney flap on the factory wing. Adds a little hint of performance to it. And speaking of performance, I love aftermarket exhausts, but seeing that this is my daily car, which I do have a downpipe and a front pipe on, I wanted the exhaust to be a little quieter, and I also wanted to look stealth. So I opted to retrofit a Integra Type S DE5 exhaust on this car for two reasons. One, I love the uniformity of the 3 equal size tips versus the 2 large tips and 1 smaller tips, and the exhaust design mufflers of the Integra Type S just sound a little bit better than the FK8, which always sounded like a vacuum cleaner. A subtle detail, we did take off all the red pinstriping. I don't think it ever worked well with the car, so that's one of the first recommendations I would make to you. Being that the car has a wider wheel and tire setup, which I should speak about as well, this is an 18 by 9.5 plus 45. It is on stock height right now, 2-finger gap all around. I know most of you consider that as a monster truck, but we're trying different things out. We've had this car on Öhlins coilovers and RB6 suspension bushings and everything else, but you know, one of the blessings of having a shop car is that we experience everything. To make sure that I'm not pelting the wrap with rocks, we do have the ZL1 add-ons mud guards on the rear as well as the front. I'll show you quickly inside the car. Not many changes, but it's our matte hydrocarbon flat bottom steering wheel, the Dream Automotive stainless steel teardrop knob that looks like the Honda factory knob, but it's twice as heavy. So I love the weighted feel and the shape. And you can see on the passenger side, I've got the Dream Automotive seat covers as well. It's my daily car, and you know, I want to take care of it. The driver's side also has a seat cover on it, so we just took it off just to show you guys how clean the seats look even after 3 years of daily use. Oh, one thing that I also wanted to show you guys. Remember that I mentioned that I have clear side markers on the driver's side, so that's how they look. All right, let's pop the hood. I already used the latch inside the car, so now it's just the 2 hood pins. We'll latch it here. Prop goes into place. A little bit of DEI heat shield on the bottom. sort of McLaren F1-ish, but not really. This hood I bought from a good friend and customer of ours. He was parting out his FK8, so I knew I had to take this opportunity to get the hood. Heat extraction is one of the biggest things on the FK8 to help it cool down. These cars have overheating issues at the track, so you want to help these cars breathe as much as they can. Awesome. So let me give you a rundown on what we're looking at over here, starting from the intake. This is the PRL high volume intake with their race MAF and that titanium inlet pipe. I did used to have the Venturi inlet and the Venturi intake, but at the time Venturi didn't have a race MAF, so when we were looking for more power with the 271 Kuro Turbo, we had to go with the PRL because of the race MAF allowing it to make the most power of any intake setup available. Speaking of the Kuro, this is production Kuro 001. I've had it on the car for 25,000 miles, close to 40,000 kilometers, and it's been dead nuts reliable. It's a turbo that most of the FK8 guys are sleeping on because there is a stereotype that everyone needs 500 plus wheel horsepower. You really don't. This car makes 470 wheel horsepower, 426 wheel torque on E35, and it makes 426, 393 on 93. More than enough power. The response is absolutely nuts. I'm not waiting for 3,500, 4,000 for this thing to get spooling. It's spooling from 3,100 and up, which is like the stock turbo. So I didn't want to lose that response that I have with the stock turbo, but I wanted to gain a lot more up top. When we had this car at full bolt-on stage without the Kuro upgrade, what I felt was right under 6,000, the car was simply flat. There was no feeling of acceleration past that, and the dyno proved it. And that's what a full bolt-on setup is. It gives you that immediate rush of power and torque, but it dies down, whereas the Kuro never dies down. So to help also make that 470 wheel, the car does have the 271 catted downpipe, RV6 front pipe, and as I mentioned, the DE5 exhaust. We did have to make some fueling upgrades as well, because the stock fuel system, even on 93, you won't get more than 410 wheel. So just with the XDI, the Hondata high pressure fuel pump, as well as the Hondata injectors, Hondata in-tank fuel pump, we were able to take the 93 capacity from 410 up to 425 on 93. And then with the PRL Flex Fuel Kit add-on, that 426 went up to 470. That should cover most of the car, but let's talk about future upgrades that we are planning for the car. So, future plans for the car. I love having the current power, but 271 did just announce a Kuro Plus, which only gives up a short amount of response for another 50 wheel just without any changes to my current fuel system. If I opt for the Hondata Fuel System Plus, as well as the Kuro Plus, we may get to 570 wheel, which is 100 wheel over this car currently makes. It's definitely overkill, but let's see what we do. This car is always in a form of development. I gotta change this out as well. It's so ugly. I hate it, but it's one of those things that I haven't gotten around to it. Probably gonna put 271 coolant tank on there. Suspension, forgot to touch on it. I did have Öhlins rolling track coilovers on there, but I wasn't using them to the best of their ability, so I went back to factory dampers and springs for now to fit these 265/40 meaty tires. But I think next year what I'm going to do is switch down to a 275, switch up to a 275 width, put a 35 sidewall, and put some H&R Sport lowering springs on there. One thing to know about suspension as well is I do have the ADS module swap from the Type R Elite, so Comfort becomes Sport, Sport becomes Plus R is, another level on top. So really no need for me to go with coilovers yet, perhaps just a spring upgrade. Other things around the car, we do have the white line rear sway bar 22 mil set to a stiff setting. It really dials out any of the understeer that is present from factory. And then around the car, underneath, there are the Ultra Racing chassis braces. I've always been a big advocate for chassis bracing. You really feel it, especially when your suspension is able to do the best of its ability without having the chassis flexing. You'll notice it in the car. Same thing with the Spoon rigid collars. It's such a small upgrade. If you know what they are, they're little bushings that plug into areas where your subframe has a bit of loose gap. And then the 271 strut bar, which I saw earlier as well. So hopefully that covered everything. I'm sure I missed one or two things. I absolutely adore this car. It's my shop car, it's my personal car, and we've had an FL5 as well, but something about the FK8 style and aggressiveness is something that I love and I really enjoy. So that's what I have on my back. Not exactly mine, this is my buddy Ali's, but love this car to bits, and it really helped the Unity Performance shop grow to the point where it is today. Thanks.